Oh, it's raining. Cool. Like weather and storms and stuff. This is a good time to join. Wait, did I go to the right place? No, no. But I've got to be careful. When I start the mission, I've got to be careful. There's even more really good stone. I don't know. I guess the auger can stay back there. It opens up the slots. But I want the spear last. Yeah, I want these things easier to easily accessible. There, that's a better loadout. Fuck. No, the windowed is good. The window is what I want to keep it in. It doesn't do the border unless it like learns that you want a certain thing and it does it better.
Hello everybody, it's Verda here,
Thank
and today I'm bringing you the
FPS
no-nonsense
tester.
ultimate
I'd like to
7
sub to
days
your
to
channel.
die performance guide. The goal of this guide is not only to help you improve the performance of your game, but also to show you a visual comparison of what each setting does and how much performance impact each setting has, so that you can make your own informed decision as to which settings you want to use and which ones you don't want to use, so that your game can still look fantastic while also having much better performance. For this guide, I've gone ahead and made this picture here for you so you can take a screenshot of it to refer to later. As for the rest of the video, I'm going to be giving you a visual demonstration between the lowest setting and the highest setting for each individual setting here, as well as giving you my input on each individual setting here as we go through the video. So if that sounds good to you, let's get on with it. So starting things off, having AA on the highest settings compared to having it turned off, I only saw a decrease in FPS by around 2.5%. Definitely leave this one turned on. This particular scenario here, you can't really see the quality improvement of the AA, but do rest assured that it definitely does increase the quality of the game substantially in most scenarios. It just, this particular room, you can't really see it that well because it's so dark due to the shadows. Next up, we got texture quality, where I saw a difference of around 3.75% going from the lowest settings to the maximum settings, and more importantly, I saw my VRAM allocation to the game go up by around 2.3 gigabytes here for 1080p. Do note that that will be higher for 1440p and 4K, and once again, because the room is so dark, you can't really see the quality difference between the two settings here, but do be assured that it is a huge difference. This setting also affects items in your hand, such as your guns and your tools and stuff. It really does reduce the quality of the textures of those items as well, so just do bear that in mind. Texture filter reduced my FPS by around 3.75%. It really wasn't that much of a drastic quality increase here going from the lowest settings to the highest settings. Reflection quality reduced my FPS by quite a substantial amount, around 11% on average depending on the scenario, and as you can see there is a huge difference between having it on the highest settings compared to the lowest settings. I saw no difference in FPS for the reflection shadows having them on or off. There was a slight visual difference, but other than that I didn't see any differences in the performance. And now we're on to the biggest culprit for the FPS loss in 7 Days to Die. That is the shadow quality. And you can see going from Ultra Plus down to having shadows off, I saw a difference in FPS of around 100% on average. So yes, double FPS. I've been saying this for ages. Just turn shadows down or just turn it off. It is the biggest performance killer in the game. Next up, we've got a setting that is directly tied to shadow quality, and that is shadow distance. And the reason why it's directly tied to it is because if you have shadow quality turned off, this setting will do nothing. It has to have shadow quality turned on in order for this to affect performance or give you any visual quality difference. And having this from the lowest settings to the highest settings, I saw an FPS difference of around 7.5%. And in my opinion, this is one of the settings that if you're going to have this turned on, just turn it on to low. It really doesn't affect the shadows distance a whole lot, and it does reduce your FPS by quite a bit at the higher settings. So just definitely have this one on low or just turn it off. It doesn't really do that much for you. Having bloom enabled reduced my FPS by around 1%, so really not a whole lot. And honestly, it's personal preference if you want to have this on or off. All it does is makes lights a little bit more bright around the light. Basically, it doesn't really do that much. This next setting is my guilty pleasure in 7 Days to Die. I've always had this turned on, even when I had performance issues on previous PCs, and it is SSAO. As you can see, having this turned on reduced my FPS by about 7.5%, and the reason why I like to have this setting enabled is because it's less intensive than shadow quality, and so inside of POIs that I need to turn shadows off or shadow quality off, I can still leave this one on and I still get some nice shadows without that massive performance hit, essentially. Having SS reflection set to ultra compared to having them turned off, I saw a reduction in FPS by about 15%, though there is quite a notable visual quality difference here with the lighting reflections that are on the textures. I changed location to show you the next setting, which is object quality. Now, having this set to ultra compared to having it set to lowest, I saw an FPS decrease of around 3.5%, though I would say leave this one at medium at least if you can, because this setting reduces the render distance of all the lootable items and other miscellaneous items and cars and so on, and so you definitely want to have this one a little bit higher than low, as it will make finding loot and just playing the game a little bit more tedious, as you won't be able to see where the loot is essentially as easy. So for me, low distance had no performance differences, and I also couldn't see the visual difference in the setting either. Next up, we've got particle effects, and for me the difference between 100% particles and 0% was only around 1% FPS loss, though do take this with a grain of salt because it's very difficult to benchmark the particle effects in 7 Days to Die, as every scenario is different. So to play it safe, I would say just set this to 0. It really doesn't improve the quality of the game that much, though it does reduce your FPS by a drastic amount if you've got a bunch of zombies bleeding, for example, or if you have a late game horde base that has a bunch of electric fence posts electrocuting zombies. That will reduce FPS a lot as well, so definitely just turn this one to 0% and just save on FPS basically. Next up, we have a setting that caught me by surprise as to how intensive it actually is, and that is terrain quality. Going from the lowest settings to the ultra settings, I saw an FPS reduction of around 9% for this setting. Next up, we have view distance, and for me, between the low and high settings, I saw a difference of around 2.5% FPS, and I do apologize because it actually is, and that is terrain quality. Going from the lowest settings to the ultra settings, I saw an FPS reduction of around 9% for this setting. Next up, we have view distance, and for me, between the low and high settings, I saw a difference of around 2.5% FPS, and I do apologize because you can't see the difference here in the settings. You do have to be a little bit elevated. Use dynamic mesh option. The difference in this setting from the lowest setting, which you have in the settings, which is found under the dynamic mesh options, and going from the lowest setting, which is 100, to the highest setting, which is 2000, I saw an FPS decrease of around 22%, which might sound like a huge decrease in FPS, though this is one of the settings that will drastically improve the quality of your game. You can literally see the difference in the visual quality here. You can see the map from much further away, and I would say at minimum set this to 500 if you can. So for water quality, I saw an FPS reduction of around 9% going from the low settings to the high settings for this. This performance loss will fluctuate depending on the size of the body of water that you're currently playing around or currently looking at, so do bear that in mind that bigger lakes will be more intensive than smaller ponds of water. An FPS reduction of around 9% going from the low settings to the high settings. Water quality, I saw an FPS reduction of around 9% going from the low settings to the high settings. For quality, I saw an FPS reduction of around 9% going from the low settings to the high settings for this. This performance loss will fluctuate fluctuate depending on the size of the body of water that you're currently playing around or currently looking at. So do bear that in mind, that bigger lakes will be more intensive than smaller ponds of water essentially with this setting. For grass distance, I saw an FPS reduction from the lowest settings to the high settings of around 6.8%, and for the final setting here, it's not a setting in the menu, it is with this setting. For grass distance, I saw an FPS reduction from the lowest settings to the high settings of around 6.8%, and for the final setting here, it's not a setting in the menu, it is a console command. And if you don't know how to do this on PC, you press F1, you type trees in, and then it will turn the trees off for you. And to enable the trees again, you just do it again, you press F1 and type trees, and it will re-enable the trees. And the performance difference between having trees turned on and off is going to vary massively depending on how many trees are in the area. As you can see, when I was in the forest, I got an FPS increase of around 23%, which is huge. But then when I was inside of the wasteland, inside of a tier 5 POI, where there's a lot less trees around in the wasteland city, I only saw an FPS increase of around 1% in that scenario. So it will fluctuate a massive amount.
I think I liked having the shadows. But I don't want this game taking any bandwidth from other games any more than it already is. See, this game's running much better now. I think the mesh stuff, I want to examine that again, the mesh quality. Oh, yes, here we go. We want the, yeah, we uses more RAM. That's fine. Oh, I do. I'm gonna leave Bastock because it's lagging me probably. When GeForce Now, when this game does its launch live and it's on GeForce Now, I will switch to that. Or I don't know, like, well, yeah, I will. Oh, cool. I can see next door. Nice. And look, the frames are about as solid as they've ever been. Oh, that took my... Yeah, like that messed with my screen for a second there. It keeps doing that, and I don't know why, but it's alright. Oh, it's because, oh yeah, I forgot, but I can use lossless for this game. Which makes it really good. Yeah, like lossless is good for this game. I don't know, maybe with lossless... What was the game I played recently where you could lean left and right? I can't remember. Yeah, because it's still only getting like 80 frames. It's weird. So lossless would be good. So if I'm using lossless, why don't we bump a couple of settings that bother me? It's in its native AA, which is good, and it's off of full screen. And I want it to actually give me... high... No, shadow's distance we can keep low, but shadow quality I want on medium. Because it's a serious hit. And he mentioned SAAO really changes the game, and I think he's right. So we'll just, yeah, because it loses a bunch of its appeal if it doesn't have like that modern look. So we'll buy this back with lossless. Now I lost 12 frames or something like that, but it is because it's running off my SSD and I'm playing 3 different games, and I'm sitting in Juno, which is a bad idea. I'm learning not to craft in Juno because it's just like too laggy. I could go to Relude. Relude's easier than going all the way to Bastock, but in Bastock I can buy you know, I have the wrong sub. Oh, and I never spent my merit points. So let's go back and we'll do a little bit of Final Fantasy here. I suppose the proper thing to do would be to log, but I don't think anybody cares. I don't think anybody cares. And I'm living in the game. I'm pretty much like in a monument right now. I don't really want to log. Fuck it. That alerted some zombies. I don't really know where this... oh, did I break the rope? Yeah, I did. Oops. That's okay. Lossless lends to this game really well. So I can pull like 180 frames with it. And it's not like I'm really, like I'm not sacrificing on settings that much. Oh, reflection quality. How clear reflections are. Realistic lighting. Yeah, why not? And we'll make the shadows medium. We'll just keep the shadows medium is what we'll do. No, I'm going to bump all this. And what I'd rather do is just use lossless. But the screen place, I think my card handles screen space reflections really well. Yeah, but the shadows we can keep it medium, and the SSAO on. There, I lost frames though. Oh, and now it's like tabbed me out and lost my screen again, which is weird because it's like something with lossless. Lossless kills the border. But I lost frames. Now I'm sitting at 37. And I'm like tabbed out, and it seems to be messing with it because of the lossless and stuff. Yep, there, I had a problem. I have an issue now where I'm stuck in, I'm like stuck seeing, there. Fucking weird. It has like frozen my screen, and I have an issue now. Maybe if I, this will probably kill my Final Fantasy, but that's alright. If I go control delete, there we go. No, you have like some residual thing, and maybe it's lossless. Yeah, maybe I need to kill lossless. Lossless doesn't seem to like this game. I don't know. Maybe I don't need it. I can't see to kill lossless. Where is lossless at? And lossless scaling, you're having trouble. Oh no. I don't really understand. You shouldn't be showing me this residual image with lossless like stuck. I don't know. Let's see. No, you have like a residual stuck on my screen that I can't get rid of. It sucks. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to go restart my computer here. I'll be right back.